So I decided it's about time that I finally show people how to make modifications to their Apple device versions of Iron Force if they did not have the opportunity or the ability to jailbreak their device. This is going to curtail some of the options that are available, and I'll explain why in just a minute, but it's still very easily doable. It just takes a little bit longer to find out what the effects of your modifications were, unless it's something very, very obvious. So I will delete that because this is my second attempt to make this video because my two Cocker Spaniels were farting and I couldn't stand the smell. So I had to take them outside, but now I'm back. All right, so what we're going to do is, and this is dependent upon you having synchronized your device with your iTunes on your computer. What you'll do is you'll find the Iron Force icon, you right click on it, show in Windows Explorer, and it will pull up the directory that has Iron Force in it. You always want to have a backup copy, so don't mess with the original. You want to send a copy to some place where it's easy to work on. Typically that's just the desktop for me. And an IPA file is just a compressed file. It's a zip file. So to make it easy, I rename it as ipa.zip. No big deal there. And right click, and I will extract it to a directory here. Okay, so why is it that we are limited when it comes to making modifications on a device that has not been jailbreaked? Well, the way the system works is the IPA file and on Android devices, the APK file, are installation files. So when you download from the respective stores, it sends you a certain amount of the complete game. And in this case, it includes only the desert map. It includes some of the key files, the operational files, but it does not include any of the other maps aside from the desert map. So we're going to be able to go in here and play around with some of the settings for the desert map. We're going to be able to play around with some of the sound files, some of the video display files, and I'll show you what I'm talking about there. But right now I just want to show you how to get into the system and safely get back out of the system. In the worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario, and you monkey this up something fierce, all you have to do is go back to the iTunes store, re-download a clean version of it, and reinstall. No possible harm can be done because every game, every app is what they call sandboxed. So it gets put in its own little special area on your device and it cannot go outside that area. So it can't damage your system, it can't do anything except not work right. In which case you delete it and reinstall it and you're good to go. So this is what we're looking at when we open up the IPA file. And one of the things that I always advise people not to do is share IPA files. That's why, although I have posted the Droid version of the installation files in which I've made modifications, I won't do it with the IPAs, and that's because they have unencrypted personal information. So some of these files have your name, your Apple ID, your iTunes Store ID, your device ID. It's got all kinds of information on you that is not encrypted, and if you know which file to look in, you can go in there and pull up the information about whoever you received the IPA file from. So again, I strongly encourage you, for the sake of IT security, not to go in and do that. And the dogs are farting again. Okay, Wow, that's bad. Um, all right, so next time around we'll talk about how to make the modifications. But for now, let's talk about how to put it back together. So let's assume that we've gone in and made some changes. And what we want to do now is back out. And we want to take these 4 files. And I'll show you where we're at here. So remember those 4 files. We are right inside the folder that we made. And this is actually the folder. So Iron Force 2.0.3 mod folder, just so it's easier to keep track. So again, there are those 4 files. You're going to want to highlight them. You're going to want to send to compressed folder. And it'll do its thing. And in a couple of seconds, we will have the newly compressed version of your modified IPA file. And we're going to call it Iron Force 2.0 point, whoops, 2.0.3 dot IPA mod zip. And we are going to take that and put it back into the iTunes folder where we found it. We're going to want to rename the original file. You always want to keep the original file. It just makes it that much easier to find out where things went wrong if something goes wrong. And if this is your first time doing this, something will probably go wrong. As I was learning how to do all this stuff, I have reinstalled a dozen times. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes pretty simple. So we're going to keep that and just add original. Gangsta. No. All right. Let's just stick with original. And then we have to change the name of this one back to plain old IPA. And you're good to go. You go back to iTunes and you delete the game from your device. You reinstall it from here, and you're up and running with your modified version.